Shazam? Fury of the Gods is the sequel to the 2019 superhero film Shazam, and the 12th entry in the DC Extended Universe. Once again directed by David F. Sandberg and starring Zachary Levi in the lead role, it is a decent continuation that takes things in a darker direction than its predecessor. Sometime after the events of the first film, Billy Batson is enjoying being the local protector of Philadelphia as his superhero alter ego Shazam with help from his foster siblings Freddie, Eugene, Darla, Mary, and Pedro. In spite of their various good deeds, the siblings often find themselves subjected to backlash from the general public due to the reckless nature of their acts of heroism. One day, the daughters of the god Atlas, Hespera, and Calypso, suddenly appear on Earth to reclaim a weapon that will grant them the ability to rebuild their world at the cost of our own. Upon learning of the daughters' sinister intentions, Billy/Shazam and the rest of his siblings work together to stop them before the Earth is destroyed. Many people like myself were taken aback at the different direction the DC Extended Universe went in with their 2019 film Shazam. Unlike their previous films, this one was brightly colored, lighthearted, and most notably funny. Despite this shift in tone, virtually everything worked out well to everyone's surprise. As a result, it can be credited with DC successfully breaking the stereotype that all their movies are just constantly bleak, and that they are just as capable as Marvel of creating something playful and fun. This story continues in Shazam: Fury of the Gods, a follow-up that retains some of the charm of the original, but less of the freshness that came along with it. I appreciate the film for wanting to take a more serious route, which makes sense since the kids are now a bit older and facing the inevitable adult responsibilities that come with growing up. This is reflected in not just Billy's point of view but also in the rest of his adoptive siblings. We watch as they each learn the hard way that being heroes in their city isn't necessarily about the acts of heroism themselves, but rather in the bigger picture of what they were trying to save in the first place. As the team's de facto leader, Billy comes to the understanding that he must now demonstrate a certain level of maturity over his siblings, something that he hasn't really needed to deal with until now. Most of the film's best scenes involve Billy slowly but surely learning what it takes to be a competent leader, which is what would make him a true hero. Considering he is still a young boy trapped inside the body of a powerful superhero, this is a task easier said than done. The film also has some enjoyable action scenes too. Though they more or less contain what you'd expect from your typical superhero film, the entertainment factor still remains for all those who continue to flock to these types of movies. The CGI effects are blended quite well with the real city of Philadelphia, which makes for a good setting during the climactic final battle. We see mythical creatures based on Greek legends charging their way through the streets, leaving destruction in their wake. Because there's more at stake this time around, the fight scenes between the heroes and their adversaries feel more emotionally involving, and each of the characters seem like they are fighting for something other than just for the sake of an action set piece. There's also some amusing comic relief sprinkled throughout these scenes as well, most of which being the humorous observations uttered by Shazam as a means to remain calm under pressure. While not all of the jokes landed, the ones that did helped improve what could have been just another generic part of the film the audience would likely have forgotten about. As previously mentioned, the film predominantly features Billy/Shazam grappling with the reality of being leader of his group of heroes, and it is the combined efforts of Asher Angel as Billy and Zachary Levi as Shazam that help make this concept work so well. These two are in such great sync with one another that whenever they swap between either Billy or Shazam, you can easily believe they are essentially the same person, at least mentally. Angel plays Billy as a regular teenager who wants to be taken seriously by others, while Levi plays Shazam as an overly powerful man-child who needs to learn about the importance of taking responsibility for his actions. Yet, in spite of these different traits, they all connect together to create an interesting character that needs to find an appropriate balance in order to become a true hero. I also liked how we finally got to see more of Billy's foster siblings as their hero alter egos. The best part about this is that in their regular forms they are just normal kids, so whenever they changed into their hero forms, it was as though we were seeing their internalized heroic selves become outward manifestations of who they truly are. Out of the 5 of them, it was Jack Dylan Grazer and Adam Brody as Freddie who had the most development throughout the story. Grazer's Freddie is physically disabled, requiring a crutch to walk properly. So I assume this was to show that anybody can be a hero, regardless of any disability they may have. When he turns into a superhero, Brody's Freddie is confident and humorous, essentially representing what he can truly become beyond his child self. The film's villains were handled reasonably well, with Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu portraying the daughters of Atlas, Hespera, and Calypso respectively. Mirren appears to be having the most fun as Hespera, the eldest of the sisters, who is more than capable in physical combat despite her advanced age. It's rare to see an actress like Mirren take on a villainous role like this, and I enjoyed her interactions with Billy/Shazam the most. Likewise, Liu does a good job as the sinister Calypso, whose ruthless nature reflects her equally dangerous intent. Calypso seemed to be the most unpredictable of the two, going from calm and collected to aggressively calling forth creatures from Greek mythology to do her bidding. These two sisters make for a serious threat, much like the previous film's Dr. Thaddeus Savannah. Though it doesn't quite recapture all of what made the first film such a fun ride, Shazam! Fury of the Gods still succeeds in keeping the audience entertained, especially in light of recent events regarding the future of the franchise. I would be happy to see a third film, but given that James Gunn is about to soft reboot the entire DC series, it all depends on how well this one turns out in the long run. If events play out the way they should, we could see the Zachary Levi's Shazam fighting alongside the likes of Batman and Superman. However, taking into account the spotty history of DC's films, it looks like things could go either way. Regardless, I remain cautiously hopeful that everything will work out for this series in the end.